Hi, we're live. Welcome to Live from Model Schools, Season 3, Episode 2. We're very lucky that we are sitting here today with Marcia Daley-Savo, social studies middle school teacher from Katonah. I think you teach other things as well too, right, Marcia?
I also teach 6th grade ELA, so I have 104 kids. And we're infusing technology into both social studies and ELA. And I'm very excited to be here with you today.
I'm even more excited because what you're going to be talking about, Marcia, has been kept a mystery to me. So I get to experience it, I guess, live for the first time as you're talking about it. Although I have to tell you, I think I have some hints about what you're going to be showing.
Yeah, because I have a few clues right out on the table over here. So I think she can.
So
okay.
Is I put together a little PowerPoint to show you some of the tech tools that I use with my kids every day, some of the more popular ones. And they're things that, are all free and anybody can use them. And they're pretty much device agnostic, except for some of the Apple things, but you can use Chromebooks, you can use PCs, you can use phones. And that's one of the things that I really like about the way we're using technology now is that it's accessible to everybody. So let me show you one of them. Okay. All right, let's see, I'll go over here. Okay, can you see my A to Z tech tools?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Share.
Oh, there we go. Now you could just minimize it.
Perfect.
Okay, so now can you see it? Okay. So the first one that I want to show you is, So A is for Apple and apps, and I have the luxury of having both iPads and PCs in my classroom that I can use. And so A is for Apple, and this is an activity. Okay, hopefully I'm coming back.
And now we see you.
So what was that trailer, Marcia?
So that was a movie trailer for the short story The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. And the 6th graders have been working since September on short story with plot elements and all of that kind of thing. And so this was their culminating activity. And that group did a particularly nice job of not giving away the ending, but really building up the momentum of what the short story was about.
That's great. And they worked on the iPads, yes?
And they worked on the iPads, yes.
So the next slide that Marcia has, I'm actually going to let you experience it. So it was very similar, but hers was a little bit more in-depth. It's combining two of the activities she did into one to try to just let you experience it. So one of the things she did was Google Cardboard and Google Expeditions.
Okay.
The next thing, which is her letter B, which we're going to ruin, is BreakoutEDU.
Fantastic.
So I don't have a breakout box right here, and we don't have an hour to lock you in a room to try to find your way out.
I appreciate that.
So one of the locks that Marcia uses in her classroom is an app lock, and you need to know the word to unlock this to usually find a next clue, but we're going to really just give you a message to end it because we're only going to make you do one.
Okay.
So you have to go somewhere in the world, tell us where you are.
Right.
and then use where you are in the world
to unlock
to unlock
to
the
put in a
lock.
clue to unlock the
Yeah.
lock. Got it.
Yeah.
So you want to look in this now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing like live TV. Okay, so wow.
What do you see? Describe it.
I see, gosh, I see something that looks like the Midwest. It looks very sandy. I don't even know if this is, can you give me, oh, wow. Wow, you know, I should know this because I did visit the pyramids of Giza. I think I'm looking at, is that correct?
What country do you think you're in? Type in the name of the country right here and you'll see.
Okay.
The name of the country. Right, Marcia?
So now I'm using, now.
And remember, countries have to begin with a capital letter. It's
Thank
proper
you.
noun. So.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the spelling. All right, let's see. So this is fantastic. I see this is the message that I've avoided the curse of the mummy by successfully solving the clue and unlocking the box.
That was
Very
my
good.
message to her.
So for those of you, actually, myself included, that have very limited exposure to Google Cardboard, at first when you put this on, you see kind of a 3D environment that looks very sandy, but as you turn your head, the actual base of the pyramid starts poking into the picture, and you get a sense as you're tilting that you're looking up at it. So it really is something spectacular to look at.
Yeah, the whole concept of BreakoutEDU is, I mean, you can use it for any age, any content level, and it is just so exciting for the kids. And it's the concept of you have to break into the box and you have to use clues. So I use this in both ELA and social studies. The last one we did was CSI Ötzi. Ötzi was an Iceman who was frozen in the Alps 5,000 years ago. And so the students were reviewing for their prehistory social studies test. And this is, let's see if I can share it with you, how we started. Let's see if I can. Share my screen again.
I'll go
So
back to
cool,
Giza
right?
in the meantime.
How cool
yes.
is that?
Giza while we.
And while she's looking, while Marcia, you're sharing your screen, with expeditions, the teacher can actually control what the students see, and there's various scenes. So I could switch Leslie to a different scene, put her a different point in this land, and she can explore.
So let's be clear while Marcia's putting the screen up. What am I looking at right now? Is this part of expeditions or no? This is just virtual.
Yeah, you know, this is part of expedition.
Okay, fantastic.
And if I switched your scene, then I can actually pick a point that I want you to look at, and it would focus
your
you
attention
to that area. And then there's a script, so you don't even know what you're talking about.
That's great.
And there's questions with answers that the teacher can read. Okay, looks like Marcia has back up. So you're on, Marcia.
Beautiful.
So this is the student introduction to BreakoutEDU, and I think it's one of the best ones that I've seen.
Are you ready for a challenge? You've probably heard of escape rooms, where you can go and solve puzzles to be let out of a locked room. That's very similar to the idea today, except you'll be trying to get into a box. Your task today will be to work with a group of your peers to do research and solve puzzles, which will allow you to unlock the locks on the boxes in the class. However, you must do this before time runs out. You do have some hint cards available. If you get very stuck, you can bring those to the teacher and redeem them for a clue. But to break into the box, you'll have to think outside of the box. And that's BreakoutEDU. Best wishes and good luck.
So that was the introduction the kids saw, and then they all participated in various activities to break into the box.
And
Can you see me?
Marcia, so I know that there's a lot of already created breakouts that you can get that are already done for you. Can you tell us about your experience? Have you made your own yet?
Yes, I've made 3 so far. They do take an awful lot of work and a lot of time, but they are so worth it. When I finished doing the first breakout with the kids, I asked them, to show me 5 fingers. 5, it was good. 1, it was, kind of lame, and they wouldn't do it again. And I had kids with 10 fingers up. And so it was really exciting to see how they got into that activity. One of the things we did was snotes. Have you ever made a snote?
No.
Okay, can you see my snote?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a snote, and you can go to snotes.com and make a snote. In order to read a snote, you have to hold it up flat in front of you, and you have to turn it. And that allows you to read the hidden message. And that's a very cool tool to do with BreakoutEDU. And so this particular snote, the hint is it flies, and it goes to one of the directional locks. And so it flies up. And that was one of the clues to get into the directional lock that's part of BreakoutEDU.
Yeah, Marcia went online, bought all these locks. She has a key swipe one, like at a hotel, like a credit card one. She has all like a directional, like a compass lock. She went crazy with the lock.
Actually, it's fascinating because when I remember working with you a few years ago, the big thing was QR code. And I remember the kids kind of engaged in, I guess, the labors of Hercules, running around the middle school, scanning and looking for clues using QR codes. So this just sounds like the next logical.
Yeah, and you know what's even crazier than QR codes now in my AR/VR class is now using something like Erasmus, where it could be the physical object itself.
Yes.
Instead of just a QR code, because when they see the QR code in Breakout, they're like, oh, that must be a clue for something.
Right.
But if it's Erasmus, then there's no giveaway because it's not a code.
Right. It's an actual object with a layer of reality on top of it.
Yeah.
So, Marcia, I put that in the, we're running a back channel too. Just to be clear, it's snotes.com, S-N-O-T-E-S. Is that correct?
And so when I did this with the students, they got these snotes, but they had no idea what they were, what to do with them. And so one of the kids, I just slipped them a paper that said snotes, and they had to figure out what to do with this. So of course, being, 10-year-olds, they Googled it.
Yeah.
And then it gave them a link to a YouTube video that showed them how to read a snote.
Hey, Marcia, we have a live visitor in the chat room right now that I'm going to toss this question your way.
Sure.
They teach 6th grade as well. The question is, I've seen teachers assign groups to solve a clue each. Does that work well? So can you talk a little bit about the management, the grouping, the kids' behavior, just something to help us envision how this all plays out?
There's a game in the sandbox. It's called Teamwork. And it was written by somebody, I wish I knew their name to give them credit, but basically it suggests that teachers put the kids in groups and that the kids work together in small groups to solve particular locks. And I think that's probably the only way to do it, because otherwise you have those 5 or 6 kids that are not engaged and just kind of wander around and get into trouble. But if they're working in like groups of 4, they really have to work together in order to get their lock open. And so with the teamwork game, they have to solve their own lock, but when they're done getting their lock done, they can go help another group. And the way I set up my prehistory activity is one lock led to another clue, and they had to work together or they wouldn't be able to solve any of the clues, because someone might have a snote, but another group has the word snote. So they looked up and helped the other group figure out how to read it.
And do kids stay with the same group for the duration of the activity, or sometimes do they mix and match, or you've noticed that once they start, they're pretty invested and they stick with it?
They definitely stick with it, and they're not allowed to move to another group until their group has solved their problem. So if I have 6 different groups in the room, one group might be doing a Nearpod activity where they might need extra work in reading. So they're going to read and do a quiz, and if they get the answers right at the end of the quiz, the message pops up with a clue. And in the particular game I just finished, the clue was go look in the bear's mouth. And if you remember, I have the big stuffed bear in my room.
Oh, yes, you do.
His mouth is the key to a lock. Once they find that key, they can open the lock. They open the box. Well, there's another clue in there. So,
And just
and that,
do you basically do it like Escape the Room where everything happens in one room, or do they go outside? Do they go into the hallway? Do you have them, kind of creep out of bounds?
no, they have to stay in the room. And I also don't hide things where I don't want them to look. So they're kind of in plain view.
Right.
They don't have to go pawing through, filing cabinets and stuff.
Marcia, I went last week to NiceGate, and our keynote was actually Adam Bello, who is the CEO of BreakoutEDU. And I actually bumped into him afterwards in the hotel lobby and had a whole conversation with him. And I was wondering, because he was leading a couple breakout sessions, and I said to him, I really want to go to one, but I'm more interested in a session on teaching teachers how to create their own curriculum. And he has an agenda prepared for it, but he wasn't teaching it there. He did say he'd share it with me, so obviously I'll share it with you. I thought was pretty interesting. So he has 2 children at home, and he was telling me how he personally, I don't know if it's personal or for the company, was developing like a breakout at home thing where you lock your phones in the box and you have to open the box to get your phones back.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it's like that's kind of fun for parents to lock the kid's phone in the box, and they have to learn to open the box to get their phone back. But then I was like, wait a second, a phone has so much potential to help you with the breakout. So you're taking the technology away from the kid? And I was confused, but he said, no, maybe they have like one device specifically set up for that. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
And the locks app, for people that don't want to invest in, buying the little locks, the locks app is free in the Apple Store, and it's fabulous. I mean, it gives you the ability to make a text lock, a directional lock, a shape lock. And so that's a neat way for people to do it. And so you don't have to actually really buy anything, because you can, first of all, open source any of the things. So if you can't afford to buy from BreakoutEDU, you can put together your own kit. And that's how I put together my kits. But even if you just wanted to use a cardboard box and the locks app on your phone, you could recreate and play pretty much all of the games that they've already provided for you.
Great suggestion. That's great.
Yeah. Okay, Marcia, do we want to move on to the next letter in your alphabet?
Sure. Yep. I'll move to the letter C. Okay. And C is for clickers, and clickers is plickers. And that's something that I know that you are all familiar with. So C is for plickers, and you would think that after a while this would get kind of lame for the kids, but no, they absolutely adore this. And so we've played very content-oriented games where I've written questions about Mesopotamia, and we've played just general trivia. And what a great thing for the kids to do when they have, 5 or 6 minutes right before the end of class. It's so easy to, pop it up onto the smartboard or the whiteboard and just use your phone. So for people that really don't have access to technology, this is a great way to do it.
That's what I was going to say. For those teachers that don't have devices in their classroom, Marcia hasn't gotten there yet, but she's very fortunate. She'll tell you what she has in her classroom. But some teachers don't. So I feel like Plickers is a great way for the teacher to use technology for a formative assessment, but the student doesn't actually need any technology at all. And they just hold their card up a certain way, and the teacher scans it, and it keeps track of it, right, Marcia? And you could use the data.
Yep. And it lets you know, what the percentage of the students are that got it right, who got it wrong. If 5 people chose B, now you can find out, well, was it the question, or was there really something they didn't understand about that piece of content, so that now you can go back over it. So it's great for formative assessment and summative assessment.
Okay, let's move on, because you don't have that much longer. We have a lot of letters in the alphabet.
Okay. I'm going to skip over D. D is for Do Ink. Do Ink is an app on the in the Apple Store that is kind of like green screen. So you can have students do a book report and put themselves right in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that's pretty cool. Egypt Challenge is another one of my favorites.
Oh.
A free tool that's provided by BBC. and it requires that the students build a pyramid. They have to choose where they're going to locate it, and they're going to choose all kinds of information. What are you going to feed your workers? How long are you going to make your workers work? And then you're either successful or all of your workers die.
It reminds me of
the Sim series,
the
Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's very similar.
That's
but
great.
they have to then use their information that they learn in class and go for it.
And that's just web-based, right, Marcia? Just a free website?
It's a free website. It's BBC, and yep, you can get it on any device with a web browser.
Great.
So F is for facilitator, and that's really what I think technology integration really is all about. So it's less direct instruction and more having the kids inquiry, really thinking about what it is they want to do and asking the right questions and getting the information. So I'm more of a facilitator now than I am a teacher.
Fun fact, those pictures of Marcia were actually taken by me during
Yes.
Yeah.
I recognize, I
Yeah.
think the middle school library
Yeah.
media center off
So,
the library, yeah.
Marcia was in my cohort, and I had the pleasure of joining her in her classroom. And a few of these things she did while I was there, and they were so impressive. But I definitely took those pictures with my phone in my hand.
Yep.
Okay, next.
Okay, so G is for Google Cardboard, and probably one of my most favorite activities to do with the kids. There are so many virtual reality free apps that are available. And in this one, the kids are using Egypt Chamber, and you can see.
Where are my legs? I'm going to sleep down. I really, oh my god, that's a bunny. I need that. Thank you, sir. I don't want to sleep. I swear I'm going to be
So in this picture, they're actually finding Ramses, who has been mummified, and further on, they run into Nefertiti. So they do some really cool things with that particular app. But Google Cardboard with Google Expeditions, now that it's available on the iPhone and on Android, all the kids have phones, and I have enough cardboards now for the entire class, so we can all do it. So it's really looking forward to that lesson coming up.
Marcia, I actually, last week, we actually had, 2 weeks ago, a Google Leadership Symposium, and Google came and hosted an event here, which was pretty incredible turnout. And they actually gave us cardboard, so now I have enough for my workshop, so I can give yours back if you need them back. But thank you so much for giving them to me.
You are very welcome. So I is for independence, and it is so lovely that now this is the second year of the paperless project. And so it's going more smoothly this year because now I know what worked and what didn't work. And now when something doesn't work, I can just say number 4, and they know, go over to the bulletin board, and there it is. They can problem solve, troubleshoot, and they help each other, and that's huge.
Marcia, talk a little bit about that. You mentioned paperless project, and I know Alana and I know a little bit about the history, but explain where you started and where you are right now with that.
So when I think back to it, it really started quite a long time ago. And I started with live binders because I wanted the kids to be able to keep all of their information in one place without losing their paperwork. And then we tried Harness Unio, and that didn't really work as well as I wanted it to work. And then OneNote opened up, well, I guess OneNote had this for a long time, and I discovered it last year. So I made a request to the technology department here that I wanted to try a paperless project. And so they provided me with 30 Dell venues, and I taught the kids how to use OneNote. And now everything that they do, all of their class notes, all of their short stories, everything is located in this OneNote software. And the kids can use it at school, they can use it at home, they can use it on any device at all. It's just a really powerful tool.
So paperless in the sense that any assignment that you conceive is really truly paperless.
It's really paperless. The only modification I made to it this year is when I give a reading comprehension test, I give the kids the test on paper because I want them to be able to annotate the text, mark it up, highlight the important stuff, which is harder to do online right now.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that we'll get to the point where we'll be able to do that online, but we're not quite there yet.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And such a positive response from the kids. They're just very, very motivated.
Also, Marcia, do you want to tell, I mean, you cannot tell us anything you're not allowed to. Marcia's actually so fortunate. She's in a beta testing program for Microsoft.
Right.
So Marcia knows about things way before we do. So do you want to tell us, maybe not the new things, but some of the things you did test before that are now released and now everyone can use them?
Mm-hmm.
They have two pieces that I am just really giddy about. One is learning tools. And the learning tools enable kids, especially dyslexic kids, to read text that's on the screen and it's read to them at the same time. So you can set it up so that if you want the text to just highlight active verbs as the students are reading, as they're reading and it's reading out loud to them, it will highlight active verbs. Another cool use for it that I've just started this year is all of my students do their writing in OneNote. And now I can, instead of mark up their text in purple or red, I can speak to them and they can play back my comments. So
Wow.
you know, that's a really strong hook that you have at the beginning. Maybe you want to work on your transition words, and then I can give them suggestions of transition words. They can play it over and over again, and it points out, okay, so I'm reading the end of the first paragraph. There's a little pointer that will point out, I'm speaking and it's right here in your writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very powerful for feedback for students. And that's very new, but it will be out very soon.
And Marcia, are you using Microsoft Classroom right now too?
I've dabbled in it. I'm not full into it. I've used it to make groups. I've used it to make my class notebooks, but I haven't done the grading piece because right now my district is very hooked into Infinite Campus.
Right.
Got it.
So.
Okay, next letter.
Okay, where did we leave off? H for hieroglyphics.
Oh, I can't see your screen if you have something.
Okay, so I will share that with you. Let's see. Okay. And we did I is for independence. So J is for join. How about that?
I can't see it.
I think you can't see it. I think it's today's meet, isn't it? Something that we're using in the
It
back
is.
right now.
Yes. It is today's meet.
We'll give you a second, Marcia, to share that screen so everyone can see. As you're doing that, do you have you created an account or do you simply use the free version? I guess the version without having to create any kind of student or teacher account.
I create the teacher account and the students just use their initials. They don't use their full names.
Right.
For when they log into my room.
And what value does that account have? Let's say somebody has dabbled in today's meet, but they haven't created an account. They just create a room and join it. What are some of the features that you think are helpful?
I finished the book Quiet by Susan Cain, and it's a book about introverts and how children function in the classroom. And very often the only kids that participate in class discussions are the kids that feel comfortable, and the ones that might have important information to share don't, because they're just not comfortable in that forum, or they're not going to compete with one of the louder kids. This is a great forum to get everybody involved, and everybody can participate because everybody has something to say. And this has been a really powerful tool for those really quiet kids.
I remember, Marcia, do you remember years ago we did Long Walk to Water? And I think, was it your sixth graders that basically did today's meet in the back channel, and we would pop in and out of the discussion using the smart board to kind of focus what some of the comments were and what kids were contributing?
Exactly. TriCiter is another really good tool to do that as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we did that We did that last year, Marcia, or I did that with Mark, I think.
I think you did that with Mark because he's the one that shared it with me.
Yeah, I did it with Mark. Do you remember in the closing, Mark, and it was such like a thoughtful,
Yes.
Socratic lesson.
Yes.
So I'm going to move on. K is for Kahoot, but since Kahoot, I have found Quiz is.
Oh, I love
Quiz is.
Oh my goodness.
I think we have to put that in the back channel
my
here.
favorite because with Kahoot, it's like the teacher has to launch the Kahoot and it's live in the moment. Every student that's in the class has to be in it that second and it's game-based, which makes it fun and there's a scoreboard. But with quizzes, it could be at home or self-paced, but it's still game-based like Kahoot.
Sure.
But it's not teacher-focused on the board. It's whenever the student is.
So for the benefit of those in the back channel, is it Quiz IZ? Quiz
Q-U-I-Z-Z.
Q-U-I-Z-I-Z-Z.
Yeah, I-Z-Z.
And one of the things that I love about Quiz is when you're doing it in the classroom, the questions are randomized, so the student can't look over to the person next to him and see what the question is or the answer, because they're all the same questions, but they don't all come on the same order. And that also makes it pretty exciting for the kids.
Yeah.
And you don't know who won until you get to the end. So
exactly.
It's also exciting.
Right.
All right, next letter.
Next letter. L is for learner. I'm going to skip over that one. M is for mummification, because mummification, as you have probably
guessed, for that.
Egypt is the most favorite thing to teach. And in this lesson, we were using Excel, and the students were mummifying sausage. So they had to begin by weighing their sausage and then entering it into an Excel spreadsheet. And then from there, we checked it every 10 days and we measured the amount of desiccation that occurred in the sausage. So they got to use Excel and they got to learn about how long it takes to actually mummify something.
I kind of figured sausage was already mummified, but thank you for that clarification.
It's already cooked.
So by desiccation, do you mean decay or do you mean moisture evaporating, or what is
evaporating? Yes, because once they cut open their sausage, they fill them with natron and that absorbs the liquids.
It was
the
kids had a lot of fun with it.
Can you imagine being a student for one day in her room?
I was there for this, but you know what the cool thing is? She had centers around the room and they cycled through them for I don't know, Marcia, how many days did it take them to finish this?
Probably about a week.
One was expeditions, and Marcia sat with that group and took them on the virtual reality tour. One was doing the mummification, like actually constructing their mummy. Another one was doing hieroglyphics. Another one was using ThingLink, which she'll probably get to, and building a ThingLink about Egypt. And they were all doing different things, and pretty self-sufficiently.
Right.
It was pretty incredible. Okay, next.
N is for Nearpod. That's one of my new favorite websites. So Nearpod and News ELA, because News ELA lets you find a piece of current events, a newspaper article, but you can get it on 3 different Lexile levels. So you can have, a low reader, a really high advanced reader, and you can actually take those articles and you can pop them into Nearpod. And so everybody is doing a teacher-paced activity, but they're doing something that is differentiated on their level. So in the picture you see here, they're all reading about the caves of Lascaux, but they're reading on 3 different levels.
That's pretty cool. And now,
Nearpod,
can you tell us about Nearpod? And I know that Nearpod just came out with something that you showed us in my workshop. So can you tell us about that too?
Are you talking about the virtual reality?
Yes, I am.
They have all kinds of new virtual reality sites. So I'm looking forward to going to Ancient China this year because their Nearpod virtual reality Great Wall site is really fabulous.
Yeah, I think that's what you showed us in my class.
Yep. So that's very cool.
For those of you that are watching that, you should know that we now support Nearpod.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about migrating from the free version to a more enterprise version, you can actually get that through BOCES, and it's aidable, and there's support and training involved in that as well. So
yeah, Marcia, did you know that?
I did not know that, and I'm thrilled to hear that.
Yeah, I knew you would be.
Yeah.
But Nearpod's great. Okay, next letter is O. Oh, we talked about that a little, but yeah, I like this graph.
One is for OneNote, so we're going to skip over that because I can't say enough nice things about it, but there's other things to talk about.
It's the platform that you use to put everything else.
Yes, it's their virtual binder in the sky. And this is another favorite app. This is Padlet, and Padlet is an online corkboard. And so in this activity, the students were writing a research report, and they were collecting their facts that were on virtual index cards and then organizing them on the corkboard. So that's
Marcia, isn't that what your first lesson was that I did with you? Wasn't that? I think that might. I think that a lot since with research.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And I use it in my personal life now too. And very good to keep yourself organized.
Yeah.
The next one is Quizlet. And Quizlet is, it's an app that allows you to study vocabulary, to make index cards if you want to put facts on index cards. It does all kinds of cool things. And it also has a way for the kids to quiz themselves. And here's Claudia.
It helps us study because we can access it from anywhere. Quizlet also makes studying fun with a variety of activities like gravity, scatter. Also, you can take a test and learn your words.
Now, Marcia, I don't know if you get to this later on, but I do want you to talk about, remember when you had your students with the vocabulary words? I don't want to give it away. We did something in OneDrive with vocabulary words. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And I have that under V. So I'm going to jump right to V, and then we can always go backwards.
Okay. Or if you want,
So,
you could wait till you get to V. Start with R. Just keep going from R.
okay. Well, R was for rap, and the kids wrote a little rap about how much they're enjoying technology, but I'm not going to show that. I'm going to show Socrative. And I'm surprised by the number of people that haven't heard of Socrative. And Socrative is really wonderful. And it lets you quiz the kids, and there's all kinds of space race and various games. And it's a great summative assessment because it really
That's from our cohort. I see the post-lesson reflection sheet on the right. That's from us. That's so funny.
Yeah. T is for ThingLink, and we talked about that. And that's what you were talking about before, where the students had to do research based on the pyramids, and then they created a ThingLink. And
The
so
pharaoh
here's
is
the
the
telling me
ruler
about
of
it.
all of Egypt. He controls everything, including who lives and who dies, what gods the people worship, and how people will treat him. The pharaoh was the top of the government, but he needed other people to do some of his work for him. The vizier was basically the second in command next to the pharaoh. The vizier was mostly the judge in the courts also. The Egyptian army uses a variety of weapons, but the chariot and bow and arrow were the deadliest. One person would drive the chariot while the other shoots with a bow. The bow allowed them to kill from up to 600 feet. While they were not fighting, the soldiers would do farm work or help build temples or other structures.
So Marcia,
With
lets you
Go ahead.
create spots. The kids actually take a graphic or even something in real life, or at least a digital representation of it.
And then you could put text, you could put overlay YouTube videos, photos, and they actually have ThingLink 360. And we show that in the AR/VR class that I offer. And Amber actually used it in Connor's school in Suffern School
To do a walking
to do
tour
a walking tour
the
of
neighborhood.
the of the building.
I think so, yeah.
And the children did they did audio notes in English and Spanish. So you could click on the English version or the Spanish version. It told you about the room.
I mean, you can tell by his voice that definitely these things are items of interest. He wasn't just reciting. You can tell that it represented something that,
Yeah.
you know, he found very engaging, and he's communicating that.
Absolutely. So U is for URL, and there are all kinds of wonderful sites that are free. And so these are just a few of my favorites. And now I'm going to go to V.
My favorite one.
Yep, video vocabulary, and it's the favorite of my students as well. Now, last year I had the kids store the video vocabulary in OneDrive. Now I'm having them put it right into the OneNote notebook.
That's great.
And that way it's available for anybody to see at any time. And so this is one that
Variable.
Riley did.
Not consistent or having a fixed pattern. Liable to change. Hey, Mom, I got an A. Hi, Mom, I got a D. So much homework. We have no homework. We have no homework. It's so cold outside. It's so hot out.
That's fantastic. That's very clever. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rising YouTube star.
And it's yeah, it's amazing how much the kids remember what each other has done and what the word was.
And
it's been.
How long are the clips, Marcia, usually? Do you give them direction in terms of how long or short to make these, or you just leave it up to them?
I leave it up to them, but they know that they have to email them to me. So they tend to keep them shorter because, you know, the larger the file, the harder it is to email.
Sure.
That's why last year when we tried this, we had a whole foldering system in OneDrive so they could just upload it themselves.
Yeah.
But now it makes a little more work for Marcia, but it's organized a lot better, I guess, for her.
Yeah.
But the students remember the words a lot better because they remember who said it, what silly thing they did.
Especially if you created it.
Well, if you create it, you remember it, but you also will remember it like, oh, right, that's the word that so-and-so made the video about.
Right.
So it's more likely to remember it.
Absolutely.
Okay, W. Oh,
W.
W.
W is for Word, and we use Word for all of our writing assignments, and one of the Common Core standards is that the kids be able to do 2 pages in 40 minutes. So that's something that we've been working towards, and Word is wonderful for that. X is for Excel, and that's the whole mummification. That brings us to Z. And this is a teacher tool. It's not a student tool, but it benefits students in that they get their work back a lot quicker because you can you can scan their work using their phone and immediately give them feedback on how well they did on that quiz.
It's pretty incredible.
So Marcia, I know we might be coming up to a hard break for you, but I look at all this and everyone looks at this. Where does all this come from for you? Do you know, what kind of lens do you use when you scour the web and you're looking for things? But just give some hints, because what you've done is you've curated a great set of stories, not just websites and tools.
Can you show your face though so we can see it?
Yes, I can. Thank you. I spend a lot of time reading blogs, and I'm on Pinterest, probably more than is healthy.
Yeah, Marcia's always like both of us. I'll email her. Like last time we were emailing, I don't know what time, Marcia, were we emailing? Like 10, 11 maybe?
Yes.
And we're always just on email. So she'll ask me a question, I'll answer. I'll ask her a question. She like loves her job so much that she's doing it at all hours of the night.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned Pinterest, because many of the colleagues that we work with will say that hands down, Twitter is their most powerful source of professional development, at least in terms of the connectedness to resources and ideas that just come right to the phone, and you can scan them and make a quick call about whether it's worth following up on or not. But so Pinterest for all these ideas.
And she also uses Facebook for the BreakoutEDU Facebook group, right?
The Breakout, they're wonderful. All of the people that are on that website. So helpful. You post a question, you'll get 7 responses immediately. It's a really great community.
So I'm going to ask you, you had mentioned something before, and I want you to try to go back and think of a time before you didn't have as much technology as you do. What do you think was the single most profound change in you in terms of your teaching craft? Because we see pictures of you facilitating. We know that you are not intimidated or afraid to just throw things out to students and guide them through it. But I'm just curious, as you look back, what changed in you to be able to do this?
It's always been a passion. I mean, back to Carmen San Diego in kindergarten many years ago. So
Half the listeners are going to need to Google that, but I'm with you.
No,
on that.
I know.
Where in the world?
I know what that. No, I watched. It was a show.
It was a CD. It was a 3.5
There
inch
was
disc
a
before it was a show
on TV that people my age will definitely know what that is. Maybe not younger, but people my age will definitely know the show at least.
okay, I think this was even before the show.
Way before the show. Yes.
Way before the show. So I think the biggest change for me has been more of, I'm more of a facilitator now instead of a direct instructor. And honestly, it took a long time to be able to move away from being, the sage on the stage.
We just heard that at our Google Leadership Symposium. The superintendent at Yorktown said,
Dr. Napoleon.
Yep, yeah. He said there's no longer the sage on the stage, but the guide on the side. And I really liked that quote.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
So for you, is there anything that you'll try anything, yes?
Yes, I will.
So what's next on the horizon? You kind of dabbled, now you're dabbling into AR and VR. You've kind of corralled all these great tools from all these great platforms. What's the next big idea that you have or are wondering about that you might want to try to,
Well, I took Alana's class, and Aurasma is something that I played with and I haven't done much with, but that's something that I want to do a lot more with. I'm very intrigued by the idea of it can be an object, it can be anything that will lead the kids to more information.
Right. So again, Aurasma is an application that lets you impose a layer of information on.
Yeah, so I had for example, a picture of Starry Night over there. And then when you take the Aurasma app and you put it over the picture of Starry Night, maybe a video will look superimposed on top of the picture and teach you about the painting or something like that.
So I would love to do more with that.
So A to Z, and next what we'll do is we'll have you do the numbers, the prime numbers. So your next slideshow can be, you'll just have to keep adding on to that, or maybe you'll have to choose a different alphabet.
We'll have
given your background.
Or maybe the Mesopotamian alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Marcia, this is such a delight. And again, for those that are just watching this, Alana and I have the absolute pleasure of seeing this in action and visiting.
Yeah.
Because the things that you're not seeing or that are not coming through is there's so many things that contribute to this. It's the room setup. It's the tenor that you set. It's all these different ingredients, and the technology definitely catalyzes that. But one thing I can say, there's nothing you won't try. And that, although, let me just, in the last minute that we have you had any clunkers? Have you had anything that you tried that said nope, or have you always fought to make something work? Or, can you give us an example of something that maybe ended up in your idea graveyard, if there is one?
I like that.
This year I'm playing with alternatives based on, being in your active learning center, and watching Alana with her ADD not be able to sit still. I've provided stability balls. So I now have 8 stability balls in my classroom. And I have stools, I have other little areas in the room. The bouncing on the balls, I have to admit, is kind of driving me crazy. Not sure how long we're gonna be able to handle that, but I see where it benefits kids. If it sends me out, into another world, we'll have to see.
I make a prediction. I am sure you will find a way that your next A to Z will be on how to use bouncing balls to improve instruction, because if anyone can come up with that story, I think you can.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
So thank you, Marcia. This was such a treat. Again, for people watching this, whether you're watching it live or archived, if for any follow-up information or even a site visit request, we'd like to. We're creating a nice community of learners here, that it doesn't have to stop just with Live from Model Schools.
Terrific.
So thank you so much for all the time and energy. all the thoughtfulness in talking about everything that you shared. And thank you for watching, whether it's now or whether it's later. And we look forward to seeing you again for our next scheduled
for our
one.
next schedule, and I don't know the date offhand.
So it'll be a surprise to both
Yeah.
Alana and me.
No, I know it, I just forgot.
But thank you so much again. And
Thank
Marcia,
you.
we'll let you know when this is ready for viewing so you can share it with your colleagues.
Great. All right. Have
Good.
a wonderful day.
Good.
Wait, Marcia, don't hang up. We're just going to end the broadcast.
We're going to sign off now. Thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely see you next time.
Bye.